Hello everyone, this is Highlander from MTG Cardsmith doing another custom Magic the Gathering card review. And today we're reviewing another card from our friend Arceus for his set Euphoria. What we got here? We got another white card. We got a Goldfinch Rider. Oh, look at that. How cute. How cute. He's riding a little Goldfinch. 2 mana for a 2/1. Okay. Decent. Not amazing, but decent. This is a human soldier at common. Oh, look at all these comments. I love it. I love it. With first strike. 2/1 first strike. Fantasize. Oh, look at that. If you own 7 or more cards in exile, Goldfinch Rider has flying. Excuse me. Drink my tea. Only the most elite warriors ever mount the bird. Yeah, let's just ignore that. Okay, so a 2/1 first strike is actually not a bad attacker. So like at baseline here, 2/1 first strike for 2, you'd play that. You would totally play that card. It's a pretty good attacker, and for your aggressive white deck. Actually, it's even good defensively. First strike is actually really strong defensively, especially in multiples. In fact, nowadays, you'll see on commons, more often than not, you'll see cards say, this creature has first strike as long as it's attacking. Because once you get like multiple, like if you have 2 Goldfinch Riders, they can just like never attack you. Because they'll, if they have if they're attacking with like a 4/4, you can just block with your 2/1 first strikes. And, the 4/4 dies and the 2/1s live. So, I mean, I'm not going to penalize you for that, but just be aware that's generally the way these things go nowadays. But pretty good, relevant body, especially with the first strike ability. And this one has some late game utility in the sense that if you have 7 more cards in exile, it has flying. So I like this card. As far as like a limited common goes, this is kind of like creeping the crop for your white. This is going to be like your ideal white 2-drop common, essentially. Right? It's like good in the early game, good in the late game. That's exactly what you want. This seems to be a card a set that cares a lot about exiling. So presumably there's ways to get cards in exile. Fantasize is basically a threshold for your exile zone. I don't quite get the flavor of it. Excuse me, sorry. I don't quite get the flavor. Like, why is it called fantasize? I'm not sure. Like, if she fantasizes that she's riding a bird, then she really rides a bird. I don't quite get the naming here. But as far as the design goes, it's a great card. Great card. Love it. Premium 2-drop. Gets flying. I mean, a 2/1 first strike flyer is good. So yeah, I mean, this is a good card. I'm gonna give this one an 8 out of 10. The main reason I'm giving it a lower grade is because I'm not sold on the naming here. Excuse me. I don't see the flavor of having 7 more cards in the exile fantasize and why that makes her fly. I mean, Threshold. Okay, if you're not familiar with Threshold is a very simple mechanic from an older set. And all it is if you have 7 or more cards. Oh, look at that, my thing's still there. If you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard, then you get some extra effect, right? So let's look at a more. So here, Threshold, Centaur Chieftain. As long as 7 more cards are in your graveyard, Centaur Chieftain has blah, right? So this is Threshold. Now, Threshold is not actually trying to flavorize itself. It's really more of a mechanical name, right? It's like, if you meet this threshold, then have an effect. And that's fine, to be honest. Like, it's better to have a flavorful name, I think, but there are some advantages to having a name like this, or cycling would be another example. or kicker, right? Like there's plenty of mechanics that have mechanical names that aren't really flavored. And again, there's pros and cons. I mean, obviously you would love everything to be flavored. That's really the best way of doing these mechanics. But the benefit of making them non-flavored or more functionally named is that it opens the door to them showing up in other sets. You know, like for example, what? Okay, like let's take blood tokens for example, right? So blood tokens is like a new thing, a newer mechanic from a recent set. And a blood token is basically just an artifact with pay 1, tap, discard a card, sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. So it's like a little it's a blood token's like a little artifact that lets you sacrifice it and discard a card to draw a card. Lets you kind of go through your library. Which it's great. It's a great mechanic, but like the fact that they called this a blood token makes it kind of limited, right? Because it means like, you know, I mean, this set cares about vampires, right? And people really liked. I mean, I like blood tokens. It was a great design, but you're now like sort of limited on what you can put this on, right? It has to be blood related somehow. So you know, sometimes that can be a bit limiting when it comes to, you know, where else you can put that mechanic. So anyway. That's kind of the long way of me saying, like, you could call this something functional, and it would be okay. Fantasize, again, I currently don't see the flavor of that. I mean, I know that Cards to Exile is a little bit ethereal feeling, but I don't know. I don't really buy this yet. We'll see if maybe there's some cards that make it work, but especially on this card, it doesn't make sense, right? It's like, oh man, I wish I had a bird. Oh, I have a bird. Like that's how this kind of feels like. So yeah, anyway, 8 out of 10 for Goldfinch Rider. Besides that issue, I love this card. Great design, great card in limited, you know, potentially could even see a card like this could potentially see constructed play. I mean, probably not. There's usually better 2-drops, but this card is it's a good attacker and it's good in late game. I mean, that's what you want in your white aggressive deck. So yeah. So 8 out of 10 for Goldfinch Rider. Thank you guys for watching.